Thank you.
Hi, so my name is Elizabeth and I'm an undergraduate here at Paul Mirage. And my question simply was, what is the most valuable piece of advice you have received over the course of your career?
To answer your question, I don't know whether it's advice, but I would say that there are what I would say the important thing for me is certain mental models, and some of them came about from people. Some of them I read about and different things, and these mental models have been very important. So, for example. Uh, One of the mental models that I think might be useful to this group is that there are um, there are 168 hours in a week, and when you start working full time, uh, your employer is expecting you to show up for around 40 hours, 40 or 50 hours, or something like that. And if you live close to where you work, then you won't have much time with commutes and such. And even if you take out time for everything else, eating, sleeping, etc., there's probably at least another 40 hours available to you for other activities. You can spend it a number of different ways. And one way that the second 40 hours can be spent is it can be spent on your passions, if you will. It could be spent on getting a startup off the ground. It could be spent on, in Sanjay's case, investing that 5,000. So in 10 years it becomes 25,000, right? So there is a chunk of time all of us have, and in my case, I only had one employer, but when I knew I wanted to do a startup and leave, I didn't just leave because I didn't have any money. I used this mental model. So what I did is I basically reduced my intensity of work for the employer to be just above firing level. I was no longer interested in being employee of the month or employee of the year or anything like that. I wanted to take it down where I was just above that he's not so bad that we're going to fire him, but that's about all we're going to get out of him. And I spent all the time, the early morning before I went to work, in the evenings when I came back, and weekends, on getting my startup off the ground. Right, I put all my energy there, and it took about 9 months of running this kind of dual life. By which time the startup had some revenue, I had 2-3 months of visibility, and I resigned. And when I resigned, my boss said, we couldn't figure out what happened to you in the last 6 or 8 months. I said, yeah, exactly. I said, my point was to just focus. He said, yeah, it wasn't so bad they wanted to fire you, but you were just gone. There was there's something missing. I said that was exactly the point. I wanted to be just above firing level. And so the mental model of that you can do two things at one time within the same week is an important one. The mental model of understanding that compounding is the eighth wonder of the world is an important one. There are a few of these models which basically become important. Another mental model I probably got late in life, probably when I was in my mid-30s, is that humans want the truth. They don't particularly care what it is. So, for example, let's say I did something untoward or negative, or I had some results that were not that great. If I am absolutely candid about owning up to those, generally speaking, as humans, we know that we're subject to screw-ups. And so something that I didn't understand was that people don't particularly care that you screw up. What they care about is that you're candid about the screw-up. And so what I found is that when you have candor around screw-ups, you strengthen relationships and you actually deepen trust, and all those things have huge positive impacts long term. So these are, I think that Munger is kind of what I learned from Charlie is to be a collector of mental models. And one of the reasons why these mental models become important because our brains are kind of very screwy in terms of how we process things. There's a lot of kind of glitches in it. And so these mental models help us get around a lot of these glitches. And so that's kind of what I would say is some of the things to think about.